Leadership should understand the law of averages. One of the most important studies to study is the law of averages. And the reason is because everybody's affected by it. This side of the world, the other side of the world. Business is affected by it, social, personal, people, religious, doesn't matter what it is. We're all affected by the law of averages. The church is affected by it. The office is affected by it. The community is affected by it. The state's affected by it. The families, everybody's affected by the law of averages. So it's a good one to understand how it works, what's going on, so you're not disappointed and tipped over and upset. See, once you find out the truth, there's a Bible phrase that says, the truth sets you free. And it sets you free from animosity. It sets you free from being tipped over and bent out of shape. You just have to understand how it is. People used to cut me off on the freeway. I would go absolutely bonkers. I'm now chasing them down the freeway. See, I learned not to do that, right? Because some things are just frustration. They accomplish nothing. It's like saying liars shouldn't lie. Now, see, that's called idle conversation. There's no use even talking about that. Because, see, liars are going to lie. And you can say they shouldn't, but that won't help. Okay, liars lie. Cheaters cheat. Thieves steal. And you can say they shouldn't, but that's called idle conversation. Understand how it is. Right? Some things are, it's just like it is. Once you understand that that's how it is, see, now that takes you off the hook from being bent out of shape, disappointed, frustrated, angry, you don't understand, you're all confused. See, once you know, then it just takes away all the confusion and the misunderstanding and the misreading. Now when somebody cuts you off on the freeway, see, you learn to handle that better. But tell them they shouldn't, see, that won't help. Right? Because they're always going to do that. You know, if those people who cut you off on the freeway really tip you over, then you're going to be tipped over the rest of your life. Because those people are always going to do that. They're known as cutter offers on the freeway. I mean, that's what they are. One of the best things is to take the simple approach. The guy says to me, well, this is happening to me, this is happening to me, this is happening to me. I do this and then this happens, then this goes wrong, and then this happens. How come all these things happen to me? I'm trying my best. I say, sir, I really don't know. The best experience I've got over the last 25 years especially is those kind of things always happen to people like you. I don't know. That's the best I can figure out. What you've got to consider is, if you wish for it to change, you must consider that perhaps you should change. See, if this is happening to me, maybe it's because it's the person I am. Now, some things are accidents, I understand that. But some things are attracted. You've just got to make sure that it wasn't just accident, that maybe you're becoming that kind of cynical person. Maybe unhappiness is attracting unhappiness. Maybe overdue sadness is attracting sadness, right? Maybe confusion attracts confusion. And it's true, whatever we are attracts, so we must take a look and see where we are. But the law of averages is unique. And of course, the best place to study all the laws is in the Bible. Here's what the law of averages says. If you do something often enough, you will get a ratio of results. A ratio. And that's one of the key words in leadership to remember. Everything has ratios. Now, what do we mean by ratios? Well, it concerns anything. Let's say you just joined a new company and you're out selling some new product. And you talk to 10 people. You're just brand new. You talk to 10 people. Say, I got this neat product. And you present it to 10 people. 9 say no. And 1 says yes. Now, already you've got your ratio going. And we call it 1 out of 10. That's fairly simple, right? No matter what you do, if you do it continuously for a while, you'll get a ratio. Some kind of ratio. In baseball, what do we call it? Batting average. See, if somebody's pitching, you're up there swinging, sure enough. Now, even if you're an amateur, if you keep swinging, you'll get one, right? The ball will hit your bat, right? You just get in the way. You know, you just do it often enough. But a ratio starts to develop, right? Now, here's an interesting question about the ratio. Who will this ratio work for? See, anybody can get a ratio started. That's a key word. Anyone can work on this ratio. Now, you might say, well, if you're getting started and 9 say no and 1 says yes, right, you're not doing that well. Well, see, at first you don't worry about doing well. At first you get a ratio going so that you can look at it and analyze it and see what's happening. That's why it's very important in sales we teach. Talk to lots of people every day, and at the end of the day, jot down your progress. This is why your journal is so important. At the end of the day, make a list of your progress. Here's what I did and here's what happened. So that you can go back over it and start analyzing it. So you can see what to fix and what to get on that's good and what to get off that's bad. But anybody can get one of these ratios going. Now, even those that say no are valuable because at first they listen to you practice your presentation, right? And we teach in sales, you don't want to make a sale. You want to become a salesperson. So these people who say no, they're listening to you practice. In fact, at first you might want to pay them. Say, here's $5, just listen to my presentation. And I'm not that good at it yet. Whatever, right? To get this whole thing started. Now, this will work for anybody, 1 out of 10. Now, see, you can start to compete. Here's the next rule for the law of averages, the ratios. Once a ratio starts, it tends to continue. Once a ratio starts, it tends to continue. If you're just getting started, you talk to 10, 9 say no, 1 says yes. Here's what's exciting. Chances excellent, if you talk to 10 more, you get another one. It's uncanny. I don't even know how it works. All I know is it works. Sure enough, another one will say yes. And see, now, all you got to do is just do this 2 or 3 times. Talk to 10 more. Another one says yes. Now you know you're getting about 1 out of 10. And see, now you can start to compete. And that's one of the next best incentives is competition. So get your ratios going so you can compete. Now, see, if I joined your company and I just got started and you're so good you can get 9 out of 10. And I just started and I can only get 1 out of 10. Because I just got there. If we have a contest for 30 days on sales, I will win. So he says, how would you do that? See, it's very simple. Since you're so good, you can get 9 out of 10. And the contest goes 30 days. While you're talking to 10 and getting 9, I will talk to 100 and get 10. So that when the month is over, you've got 9, I've got 10. I win. And that's one of my objectives, is to win. Now I have another objective. For you to lose. Because you learn a great deal by losing. And I wish to be your teacher. Competition, learning how to compete. What I do is make up for in numbers what I first lack in skill. Once you understand the law of averages, you can make up for in numbers what you first lack in skill. See, if I have to, I'll sleep 3 hours a day and work 21 or 20. I will, to win. Now, I can't do that forever. But if we've got something going, see, I'll just make up for in numbers. If I don't have the skill, I will make it up in numbers. Okay, now you can start to compete. Getting 1 out of 10, a ratio tends to continue. Now, who will it continue for? Anyone who tries, if you try. Okay, now here's the next key on the law of averages. The ratio can be increased. Isn't that unique? You talk to 10, get one. Talk to 10 more, get one. Talk to 10 more, you get another one. Talk to 10 more, you get two. Why is that? Why would about the fourth time you talk to 10, you get two instead of one? You're getting better. Key question. Who can get better? Anyone who tries. See, that's exciting. Now, could you stay and work hard enough to get this ratio up to 3 or 4 out of 10? Is that possible? For who? Anyone. Could you stay long enough to be a pro, get 6, 7 out of 10? Is that possible? For who? Anyone. What's exciting to know is that capacity meeting opportunity can yield the most incredible results. And you have all the capacity that's necessary, and you're surrounded by opportunity. I mean, you lack nothing from where you sit to create enterprise and wealth, fortune, lifestyle, all the uniqueness you want. Being surrounded by opportunity and having unlimited capacity. I mean, what else would you ask for? Some people say, well, could you just bring it to me? Well, no. Okay. Now, there's a Bible story that teaches the law of averages. It's an interesting story called the parable of the sower. The parable of the sower, the story of the sower. And if you haven't read it for a while, it's an interesting, very interesting story to read. It's a great illustration of the law of averages, the parable of the sower. The sower in the ancient days was the guy that planted the crops. They called him the sower, right? They got the ground ready. I don't know just how they all got it all ready, right? But they got the ground ready. And this guy called the sower was the planter of the crops. And he would take a bag of seed, walk across the field, and he would, right, sow the seed and plant the crops. They called him the sower. Now, the story of the sower is a typical story of life and people and results and what you can expect, right? And then you let the obvious be your best teacher. Now, when you read the story of the sower, you'll come up with some interesting points. First, the sower was a wise man. And when you read the whole story, you'll come to the conclusion the sower was a wise man, which is a high advantage. Right? You don't want to send a dummy out to plant. Right? We will all starve come fall. Next point to the story was the sower had excellent seed. Excellent seed. The story says he had the best. He didn't settle for something cheap and second best. Third point to the story, he was highly ambitious. And when you read the whole story, you'll come to the conclusion this man was ambitious, which is an admirable quality. Ambition. And then he went to work. The guy says, I knew there was a hitch in there somewhere. That's where it is, probably, right? The guy goes to work. Now, the story with the sower, with the excellent seed, highly ambitious, opportunity all around him. He has the capacity. He's got the seed. Everything's ready. And he starts out to sow to get some results. Now, it's an interesting story about what happened to him. It's a typical story of life, but it's fascinating. Here's what it says. He starts out to sow the seed early in the morning. But the first part of the seed that he sows falls by the wayside, and the birds get it. He's sowing this good seed, highly ambitious man sowing this good seed, and the birds are grabbing it. He sows some more, and the birds grab that. He sows some more, and the birds grab that. Now, remember, this is a typical story of life and people. Now, is that fairly typical? See, I got to tell you as a leader, the birds are going to get some of the seed. You get a hold of John. Let's say you're in real estate, right? Somebody here's in real estate. You get a hold of John. John says, hey, I'm looking for a change. I need a new occupation change. And I've heard about real estate. You say, John, come on over Friday night. We're going to have this orientation class. And we'll show you how to do it. Might be the new life for you. Earn the money you want to earn. Get your life turned around. Who knows what'll happen? John says, sounds great to me. I'll be there on Friday night. Learn all about it. I'll probably be one of your best salesmen. Say, okay, see you Friday night.
Now you say, well, Mr. Rohn, what does that mean? Well, I invite John to come to a meeting. He said he'd be there Tuesday night. Tuesday night I show up, John isn't there. I say, John, I wonder why John didn't make it. Now I know the answer. The bird. The bird. John had this great idea of coming to the meeting to look at an opportunity, and somebody stole it and said, you're not going to go see network marketing. And he says, well, maybe not. So have you jotted that down now? The birds are going to get some. Now, when the birds get some, you've got two options. Number one is to chase birds. And say, well, let me get a hold of the person that talked him out of coming to the meeting. I'll tear him a new page. But I wouldn't do this. Here's what happens if you go chasing birds. You leave the field. If you go chasing birds now, you leave the field, which is going to distract from your future, not add. So you can't chase birds and try to straighten this stuff out. Here's what it is. It's just one of those things. And here's the best comment when things are a little disappointing. Isn't that interesting? You just have to say, I thought sure he would be there. He promised me. He promised me. But I know it was the birds. And you just have to say, isn't that interesting? Now, here's the rest of the story. It says, the sower kept on sowing. See, that was the secret to his success. He kept on sowing. And if you keep sowing, you can sow more than the birds can get because there aren't enough birds. If you keep sowing, there are some birds, but there's not enough because the law of averages will work for you. My mentor taught me, he said, you know, Mr. Rohn, there's only 9 or 10 real nasty, miserable people in the whole world. Now, he says they move around a lot. You'll bump into one once in a while. But when you bump into one, you say, there's only 9 more like you. I can handle that in the whole world. Okay. Now, here's what else it says. The sower now keeps sowing the seed. Now the seed falls, the story says, on rocky ground where the soil is shallow. And the rocky ground where the soil is shallow is not of your making. Because you had excellent seed and you were an ambitious sower. So the rocky ground where the soil is shallow is not of your making. But here's what it says what happened. This time, the little seed that falls in the ground starts to grow. And the little plant starts to grow. But the first hot day, it withers and dies. It dies. Not an easy thing to watch. I finally get John started. Sure enough, 3 or 4 days later, somebody says, boo. And he goes, he's gone. Doesn't show up at the second meeting. And I say, I thought sure John would last a week. What happened? Jot this down. The hot weather is going to get some. And this is not of your making. Here's what you must say when that happens. Isn't that interesting? What can you do? The answer is nothing. You say, well, I'm going to try to change this. I wouldn't take that class. You know, the sun comes up in the east. Somebody says, why is that? I wouldn't spend much time on that. Just let that happen. Don't go for this why stuff. I'm giving you the answers here. The answers is in the structure and the consequences and in the deal. The answer is in the deal. Anything beyond that is not worth studying. You say, well, how come some just last a little while? I wouldn't sign up for that class. Here's the answer. Some don't stay. You just have to jot that down. And when some leaves, you say, that's one of those that don't stay. Now you know what category to put them in. And you can't solve this now. It's like rearranging the seasons. You can't fool with that. All you can do is cooperate with the way things are set up. I didn't set it up. You say, well, it shouldn't be this way. Well, when you get your own planet, you can rearrange this whole deal. But on this planet, you're a guest. You got to take it as it comes. Now, here was the secret to the ambitious sower with good seed. It said he kept on sowing. Now, here's what he had to do to keep on sowing. He had to discipline his disappointment. This is a key phrase now to use the rest of your life. You must learn to discipline your disappointment because you didn't set up the setup, and some are not going to stay, and that is not of your making. Now, if you made gross errors and you ran them off, see, that'd be different. Now, you're responsible for that. But if it's in the normal course of things, this is the way things are. Now here's what it says. The sower keeps on sowing. Now it says the seed falls on thorny ground. And somebody says, well, how much of this do you have to go through? Well, hang on. It's not the end of the story now. Now the little seed falls on thorny ground. And now the little plant starts to grow again. But as the little plant starts to grow, the thorns choke it to death. And it dies. So jot this down. The thorns are going to get some. And that's not of your making. And what are these thorns? The story even called these little thorns, little cares, little distractions, little somethings. Who knows what all they are? I say, John, we had a meeting last night. You weren't here. John says, well, I can't make every meeting. I say, why not? You're part-time. He said, well, the screen door came off the hinges. And you just can't let your house fall apart. You got to take some time and fix things up. He says some extra trash had piled up in the garage. You can't let mountains of trash take over. You got to keep your trash hauled out. People who let little things cheat them out of big opportunities. People who let little things cheat them out of big opportunities. And you feel almost helpless. What could I do about that? And that's nothing. And you say, well, why is this? I'm asking you not to sign up for that class. Don't sign up for these why is this class. It's just the way it is. Like winter following fall and spring following winter. So if you got that, the thorns are going to get some. But now here's the good news. Let's read the rest of the story now quickly. The sower now what? Keeps on sowing the seed. Keeps on sharing the story. Keeps on giving an invitation. Yes, the invitation can be more powerful for me as it was 1 year later than it was the first month. Because now I'm saying I'm making twice as much money part-time as I'm making on my full-time job. Yes, the story can be more powerful, but the law of average is still going to work. But now here's what the story said. Finally, the seed falls on good ground. Finally, the seed falls on good ground. Now put this in parentheses. It always will. If you keep sowing. If you share a good idea long enough, it will fall on good people. But now here's the rest of that story. Some of the good ground did 30%. And some of the good ground did 60%. And some of the good ground did 100%. You say, well, why the difference in numbers? I wouldn't sign up for that class. Have I said that often enough now? Don't register for that class. It's just the way it is. Now, I tried to get the 30s to do 60. Found out it was more than I could handle. I used to say, I'll make them successful if it kills me. I almost died. No, you can't do that. Here's what you do. Let the 30s do 30 to the best of their ability and keep doing 30, because that's how they build their lifestyle and get what they want out of life. And let the 60s do 60, and let the 100s do 100s. Now, how can you get some to do 100%? You got to go through all these experiences, and you got to talk to all these people.
Now, what you must do is understand the ratios as a leader so that you learn how to work with them and not against them. Now, see, I used to give classes here on how to do 100%, but see, that won't help. It's called frustration for the leader. Right? In the evening seminar, I say, right? The key to management is don't send your ducks to Eagle School, right? And this is part of it here, right? It's learning where, what to do, and how to find the right people. What to do and how to find the right people. See, that's major. So, you let people who want to produce 30. They make a contribution to the whole, and the 60 and the 100. Now, here's the key question. How do you find the 100%ers? Answer. You got to go through the birds. You got to go through the hot weather, getting some. You got to go through the shallow, rocky soil. You got to talk to the 30 people, the 60 people, to find you the hundreds. Here's what we say. If you want a lot of seniors, you must load the freshman class. Okay, that's how you find seniors. You just load the freshman class. And there's a lot of things, you just watch the process. You don't try to change the process. You just share the story and watch what happens. Share the opportunity and watch. And you pick by watching what happens. You don't force, you don't make, and you don't change. You watch. So it's called act and share and watch and pick. Okay? Act and share and watch and pick. And what's smart is to pick 100%ers that become 100%ers. Right? You look like a hero. And you don't try to make 100%ers out of people who are not going to do very much. And see, that's not on them. Now, some people in one enterprise are going to do much better, in one enterprise than they are in another. But whatever enterprise you've got going, or whatever you're working with in the way of people, just understand the law of averages. And here's the key. Don't try to change it. Learn to work with it. Okay, is that helpful? The law of averages. I'm telling you, it'll save you a lot of heartache. It'll save you a lot of mistakes and a lot of errors and a lot of wondering and a lot of pondering, sleepless nights, agony. I mean, it just cures a whole lot of things once you understand the law of averages.
Chẳng được quên khi cơn mưa đêm lại về. Em đã quên lời thề và ta như đông chìm sâu. Không còn mơ em anh nhận màu. Em chỉ cần mơ đâu em chỉ còn là những cơn mưa vô giá cho bên mơ em không mơ anh. Anh một đêm mơ chỉ cần bên em không được còn nhớ và chỉ có em không còn nhớ và người ta bên nhau như là tớ. Muốn nhớ về say em chỉ có mấy em ở đây và anh như muốn chết đi nhưng không muốn em mơ mày. Tình yêu làm cho ta đau đầu không em như mà mơ mộng. Anh như đang mong cầu và mưa bên em u sầu. Chào các bạn mà mơ chỉ có bên em nhưng là khó mơ. Mà đã ra em một bên này anh không mong gì hơn chỉ mong em sẽ ở đây ôm anh thật gần. Anh chỉ mong đôi ta được có nhau mà đừng em đâu anh có em một đôi bên nào có em. Ta sẽ trao nhau môi hôn thật sâu ôm anh cứ nữa bằng ngâu và em chỉ lần đâu. Anh không muốn em ở đâu đâu. Một cơn nắng thứ anh không mơ cầu mà gặp đôi anh mà bên anh chỉ là my friend em quên đi bằng lời hứa quên đi cả những ngày xưa anh như là muốn nhớ em không còn chưa mà đưa đêm ở đêm anh nhìn một đôi bằng kem không như là ba trên thêm cho em nhiều hơn như là kem chỉ cần là mưa thôi. Em chỉ cần là mưa thôi, còn ai sẽ là nắng rồi.
Chào, 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 10 told your friend you're not okay? And tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away, as you fade away.
Yeah, I'm about to fade away, cause every time I wake up I feel like it's Monday. Something's going wrong with all the chemicals up in my brain. All of a sudden I don't look at anything the same way. Gotta build up of my thoughts sitting in an ashtray. I'm sorry that I'm so inconvenient, okay? Just let me be me and I'll stay out of your way. I can see the way you look at me, I'm such a disgrace. I never really asked to be brought into this place. You wanna love me? Well then baby, have a taste. All the highs and the lows, no, you'll never be the same. I don't really wanna hurt you, but I can't control the pain. If you're sticking by my side, maybe we could be okay. Okay, maybe you could be the change I need today. I promise that I've never felt this way. I really hope that you will choose to stay through all the pain.
I know you told your friend you're not okay. And tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. Guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away, as you fade away, as you fade away.